Hello, it's Jim and Debbie, and we're back with episode 66 of the Midday Minute. And this month, how often are we doing the show these days? Is it monthly?
Oh, yeah, it's monthly.
All right, this month we are talking to you about our newly minted budget for next year.
Some might say this is the most wonderful time of the year, Jim.
Yeah. Well, I was in Arizona last week for our budget meetings, and so this is hot off the presses. All of you watching are among the first to hear this news, which is really exciting. We'll start right at the beginning. Our total budget for next year is going to be, are you ready for this number, Debbie? It's a big one, $42.5 million. That's almost a 7% increase over the current year, which is just huge.
Amazing.
And as always, you know what I'm going to do, Debbie? I'm going to share my screen here, and we're just going to take a look at how this money will be distributed. This is, by category, and right there at the top, our fundamental expenses, that's our administrative expenses and our fundraising expenses, is under 7%. It's 6.3%. The standard, of course, for charities is no more than 35%. We're way below that at 7%, which isn't a goal of ours. It just happens to be where everything shakes out because our focus is on our program services, and that's where all the exciting stuff happening next year is going to be. And that large green wedge there is our community investments program. It's our largest program, and that'll continue to be true with this new budget. A couple of things, though, as we're wrapping up the grant season, there's still a few grants that are being approved trickling in, but for the most part, all of that is done. And some really cool numbers. First of all, 4 out of every 5 Elks lodges received at least one of our community investments program grants.
Yeah,
this year.
81%.
That's right, and that that does not include what Veteran Services is doing, with their freedom grants and their focus grants. That's just the stuff that we administer. So the gratitude grants, the beacon grants, the spotlight grants, and the impact grants. 4 out of every 5 lodges. The average participating lodge received 2.7 grants, totaling $7,300.
I mean, isn't that incredible?
Yeah, so our grants are accessible, and they are significant, and they're about to become even more significant because we're investing more money in this program.
We are. We sure are.
Why don't you tell them what's happening with beacon grants?
Well, Jim, beacon grants are going to increase to $4,000 in fiscal year 2023, which opens on April 1st. So how about that? I mean,
it was only, I believe, 3 years ago that we bumped these things up to $2,500 from $2,000.
Right, exactly. So
and since then, an additional $1,500. Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Every lodge is eligible for a beacon grant. We sure hope you will use them. So many lodges did this year. We awarded a record number of beacon grants this past year.
We did more than 1,400. So incredible. That's a lot of work on our staff's part to get lodges to yes, which is great. In addition, there were more lodges who merged either their spotlight grant into their beacon grant or their gratitude grant as well. So they were using, they were merging, they were supersizing to have the most bang for their buck with the grant.
Now there's going to be a little bit more bang for the buck with the gratitude grant next year also, because we've added a third $500 bonus. This is already the membership support bonus. More than 15% of your members support the foundation. You'll get an additional $500 for your $2,000 base grant, which of course you get for achieving the grants per member giving goal, which this year is $4.80. That should be a no-brainer because we are poised, by the way, Debbie, poised with a few weeks left of fundraising to top $10 per member for the first time ever. So this is an easy get, right? But there's also the bonuses, membership support, Fidelity Club. If you hit your Fidelity Club goal, you can get an additional $500. So now that $2,000, if you get both of those, is $3,000 for next year. If you achieve our share challenge goal of 550 points, if you achieve that this year, you'll get a bonus of $500 for next year. So A lodge that hits the goal, and all 3 of those bonuses will get $3,500 for their gratitude grant next year.
Right. And when we say next year, of course, we're not talking January 1st. We're talking April 1st, which
That's
is
right.
basically in like 6 weeks.
So if you are not at the 550 threshold for the chair challenge, check out what you need to get done and get that done these next few weeks, because that'll mean $500 additional for your gratitude grant next year.
Right.
You do not have to wait a year for this bonus. You can get there right now.
Right now.
Yeah, so
yeah.
that's
and then
exciting.
We'll open on April 1st to be ready to apply.
All told, the SIP is knocking on the door of a $16 million program, $15.9 million for the SIP. So super excited. Of course, Spotlight grants are going to remain at 2,000. Impact grants are coming back. Still no promise grants. We're going to stick with the 4 grants for now.
Yep.
We really like fewer grants at higher dollar amounts. It's more manageable for our staff, but we also think lodges can make a greater impact. We also like the fact that every lodge is eligible for all of our grants.
Right. That it's not just a.
We are not offering a first come first serve grant.
Right.
Again,
it's not people who are get online right away.
Right. It's not a forever decision necessarily, but we certainly like. We've liked the way the past couple of years have gone with 4 grant offers from us instead of 5. So.
Yep.
Okay. Not much to say about state grants. We're increasing the pools there by 2%, which should mean more for your state next year. Veteran service, exciting news there. They're getting a nice increase to, what's the dollar amount for veteran service, Debbie?
The dollar amount is 2.5 million.
All right, well, you're talking about their standard grant, and there's also a welcome home grant piece of about $2 million. So all in, it's almost $4.6 million for veteran service.
Okay.
That welcome home piece is interesting. Since the Elks pledged to help the VA, the Veterans Administration, eliminate veteran homelessness in September 2015, we, the foundation, have contributed with this grant almost $10 million towards that cause. We will be at $9.6 million. Of course, the welcome home money supports welcome home kits, which many lodges are participating in. It supports the focus grants, and it supports emergency assistance. Timely critical assistance can mean the difference between having a house and being homeless. And the Elks, since 2015, have made that difference for, what is it? How many people? I'm looking it up.
The key stat here, since 2015, the program has awarded $4.5 million in emergency assistance, helping nearly 2,800 veterans exit or avoid homelessness.
That's right. Now, a big change, when we signed on with the VA, they asked us to focus our efforts in 8 metropolitan areas with the highest populations of homeless veterans. This current year, the VA asked us to add 2 cities.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 cities were Las Vegas and Seattle, I think.
I know Las Vegas, Seattle, or San Diego. I don't remember, but I can tell you who's being added for next year.
And then that next year they've asked us to add 2 more, which will be 12 metropolitan areas, and those 2 are
Phoenix and Orlando.
That's right, Phoenix and Orlando.
Yeah.
Consequently, we've had to increase our funding available through the emergency assistance and for focus grants, and that's why we're seeing a nice bump to nearly $2 million for that portion of the grant. And then the standard portion will support the other things that Veteran Services is doing. So exciting stuff there for our veteran service. No real big changes to scholarships, right?
No, not, we're staying the course with our 500 MVS scholarships and 350 legacy awards. I guess the big news is for Weigel, we're going to be awarding, for the Weigel Medical School Scholarship, we're going to be awarding $22,000 scholarships for Elks scholars who will be starting medical school in the fall of 2022. So it's an exclusive scholarship just for Elks scholars, and it's really an amazing thing to be able to award 20 of those.
Yeah, and this is more of an accounting change than a programmatic change. We're doubling up this year to kind of get our spending policy in line with our spending. But yeah, the result is that means we're going to award twice as many Weigel Awards this year as previous years. So that's exciting. And then that brings us to drug awareness and hoop shoot. You'll see that the youth program slice there. Drug awareness is getting about $1,039,000 to do what it does, and the hoop shoot will be at
we've 1.151 million.
All right.
So big deal there, and of course, as you can see with my prop behind me, we are laser focused on packing the arena on April 30th for the 2022 national finals.
Yeah, that's exciting. And by the way, that number 1.15 is incorrect. It's actually 1.4 million for next year. So my bad on that.
Okay.
Yeah. So a little bit larger, and that's because we are, we're pulling out all the stops for the golden anniversary finals on April 30th. We're really excited about that. You want to tell people who our keynote speaker is going to be?
Do I want to tell people, or do we want to hold it? Our very own national president, Keith Mills, is joining us for the national finals, and he is going to be our keynote speaker for the awards banquet.
That's right. The keynote speaker is Keith Mills, who, as a youth, as a lad, participated in the hoop shoot program, later joined the Elks, proceeded to give back to the hoop shoot by volunteering, rose up to the highest volunteer position in the hoop shoot, before moving on to the grand track where he is right now. So we think he has a great story to tell, and we can't wait to hear from him at the finals.
He can quite literally relate to all the kids in the audience and all the Elks.
Well, he knows what the kids are doing, are going through. I'm not sure, he might even know what the parents are going through, and he certainly knows what the volunteers are going through and what the fans are going through. He's been in all those shoes, right? Yep. And so I think he can really speak to everybody in the banquet room when he gets behind the podium. So,
he's special, and especially also that it's the 50th anniversary of the program. I think it's a pretty special land there with having Keith as our keynote.
Yeah. Any other big things we want to mention on the budget?
Well, I'd like to mention, as we're throwing these numbers around, as we already said, this is hot off the press. This information will be posted to our website in the coming probably days, I'd say. So hop on to the ENF homepage for a link to all the grants and appropriations that are happening in fiscal year 2023 at elks.org/ENF. So that's super exciting. And we didn't touch upon it, and I'm sure we will in future episodes, but convention is going to be back, and we're going to be doing a full complement of sessions, and including a postponed hoop shoot state directors training that we were going to do in Baltimore in 2020 that for obvious reasons didn't happen, and we're bringing it back to Atlanta. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, obviously the return to normalcy didn't happen quite as quickly as we had hoped, but it certainly is looking like the 2023 year is going to be much closer to what normal used to be, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
We're looking forward to a return to our normal presence at convention. We're looking forward to an in-person national finals for the hoop shoot, and we're hoping that the following hoop shoot season is even bigger and better, and closer to what things looked like back in the 2020 season also in terms of participation.
Yeah. A lot of hard work goes into this budget, obviously across the board with our staff, and you really do the lion's share of putting it together and putting these beautiful graphs together and the key performance indicators. So, when you bring it up in the February meeting for the board, they know exactly what's going on. Very transparent process, but thank you for always championing our efforts in terms of all of the programs. It makes me so proud to see that pie chart. I mean, it just that number goes up every year, and it goes up, you know, because there are needs in communities and needs that we're able to meet because of our budget. And like I said, it's a wonderful time of year, not only because of you know, the budget being approved and we're gearing up for what's coming next, but then all the other things that we're working on right now too. So
yeah. Well, you know, we obviously our spending on our programs alone has increased over the past 15 years by a ridiculous number. It's around 4,000%. It's just gone. That's not right either. I think it's around 200%. I'm sorry, that's what I meant to say. It's around 200% increase in our program spending over the past 15 years. It's really started to accelerate, and we've seen. We know that that you out there feel good about that because you've responded with your pocketbooks, and donations have really increased to the foundation. I think people are really feeling good about their Elks National Foundation and the way we are helping you build stronger communities. And so we're pleased to be your partner in that. You keep doing good work out there, and we'll keep finding money to support it. Right?
Yep. Well, I am really excited about that heading into April 1st, which, like you said, is coming like a freight train. I know, you know, lots of things are.
Yeah. No, yeah, we got the leadership weekend coming quickly, and the hoop shoot right behind it, and then convention planning is happening also. So it's just
I think we have a meeting this afternoon about that.
Yeah, plus the close of our fiscal year. So it's a busy time, it's a fun time, it's a rewarding time, but yeah.
Yep. Speaking of fun time, our state judging for the most valuable student contest ended last night.
Oh, great.
Tomorrow we will notify the 500 semifinalists and open up that application. So those students have an opportunity to, you know, get to Chicago virtually, because we actually decided that it was in everyone's best interest to have a virtual leadership weekend. I don't remember if we talked about that in our last episode, but it is virtual. The interviews for the top 20 will happen on April 9th. It just made the most sense. So like you said, the return to, you know, pre-pandemic sort of normalcy didn't happen as fast as we thought. This was, you know, something that we did not think was going to happen, but we are confident that it was the right call. So top 20 on April 9th will interview virtually. Legacy Awards deadline also was recently. It was February 7th. We have nearly 1,500 children and grandchildren of dues-paying Elks members who now have an opportunity to win a $4,000 scholarship. We will announce the class of 2022 Legacy Award recipients in April, late April. So that's happening, and we've already talked about what's happening behind me here. So
every now and then we hear a question like, how significant is $4,000, given the cost of a college education these days, how significant is a $4,000 scholarship? And here's your answer. Our legacy scholars and our most valuable students graduate at better than 1.5 times the national average, which is about 60%. 60% of freshmen will graduate within 6 years, based on the most recent numbers available. And our legacy scholars and our most valuable students both graduate at a better than 90% rate. That's because it speaks to the rigor of our selection process. Obviously, we're investing in really good students, but also our aid is helping those students stay in school and remain laser focused on their future. So
every bit counts.
The numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie.
Yeah. And I was going to add, our cancellation rates for those two scholarships also are very low, which again,
very low. Like around 5% maybe? Which is
Legacy is around 10% and MVS is 5%. MVS is around 7% and Legacy is just about 11% cancellation rates.
And for our middies, that's we do that when we haven't heard from a scholar in 2 full academic years. We don't keep carrying them on the books if we haven't heard from them, and that's not without trying to get in contact.
Yeah, right.
So just that happens.
It's just one of the metrics we look at to see how we're doing, and sometimes cancellation can happen because they've left school. Sometimes it can be because they just didn't need our money
and forgot to tell us.
Yeah, right. But they're both pretty low, right? So.
Yeah. Before we wrap, I also want to say that the Elks Scholar Service Trip that was supposed to happen in Seattle also was affected by the pandemic and the rise in Omicron cases at that time. We had service sites that the scholars were going to be serving at had to cancel. So we decided that was also something that we were going to have to postpone. The trip to Seattle will happen for about 16 scholars, May 22nd to the 26th. So that's happening. And most of the scholars who are going to attend Seattle are going to be able to go to the May trip. So that's good. There's some spots we had to fill, but for the most part, it's going to be the same scholars attending. But we also have a service trip happening next month in Chicago for about a dozen scholars. We'll be here from the 15th to the 18th. So we can talk about that more when we, do record episode 67. But we're excited about that. Grace Roebuck, our Elks Scholar Fellows, heading that up. And then I'd just like to also circle back to what I said about, the hard decision we had to make about the virtual, moving the Leadership Weekend to virtual. So what we're going to do because of that, and because we so value bringing our scholars together and engaging them in that way and seeing the relationships they form when they are together, we are going to invite the top 20 to join us in Atlanta over the convention to participate in a service trip. So those 20 will have an opportunity to tell us, yeah, they'd love to join us, or that they can't join us for whatever reason. But they kind of have the right of first acceptance, as I've said, so that hopefully if you're going to be joining us in Atlanta for the Elks National Convention, you'll get to meet some of them.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to mention that. I'm glad you did, and also want to encourage people to watch. We have finally posted our videos from the summer service trip to mini service trip to Boston. So link up here, watch that. And that's it. We've run kind of long, so I think without further ado, we should ask our good viewers, give us a thumbs up if they like this episode, or a thumbs down if they haven't. And either way, they should share it far and wide so everybody can hear about the great things that are going to happen next year. Of course, if you are not already subscribing to our YouTube channel, hit that button and tap the bell so you'll be notified every time we release new content, such as the Boston service trip video, or Taking a Sip, or Hoop Shooting the Breeze, or 20 for 20, or the next Midday Minute, which will be sometime next month.
That's right.
Until then, thanks so much for watching.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.